This is the last portion of our chapter 39 lecture. And so we were looking at the animation on short day and long day plants and looking at the relationship between red light and far red light. So this is a diagram from the textbook, and it shows you the basic requirement for a short day plant to have a long uninterrupted period of darkness, and that if you have a flash of light, you'll end up with interrupting that darkness and it get no flowering, just as if you had too short a period. And this dotted line is considered the critical period, so this would be the minimum amount of darkness that's needed. Critical dark period. And then again, the long day plants means they cannot exceed this critical dark period. So they need something shorter than that in order to have flowering. So if you get a flash of light for a long day plant, you're going to end up with flowering. But again, red light versus far red light makes a difference on what interruption is going to occur. So a red light can interrupt the nighttime portion of a photoperiod, particularly for a short day plant. A flash of red light followed by a flash of far red light does not disrupt that night length because it resets the phytochromes. So this is a sample of what you saw in the animation, where we have flashes of R, meaning red light, or FR, far red light, and you can see their effects here on the short day versus long day plant. So if it's a flash of red light, that's enough to interrupt and break this up so that our long day plant will flower, and also enough to break it up so that the short day plant will not flower. But if we have red and then far red, it's as if there was no interruption at all. And so we have too long a period here for our long day plant, but just right for the short day plant. And then again, now if we have red, far red, and then red as the final one, it's going to act just the same as if we just had one flash of red, which interrupts and breaks up the long period of darkness. This is another picture showing what happens when you graft a long day plant to a short day plant. It takes on the behavior of the short day plant. Okay, so chapter 39.4, plants respond to a wide variety of stimuli other than light. So because of immobility, plants have to adjust to a range of environmental situations through developmental and physiological mechanisms, because they can't just pick up and move away from something or move towards it. So an example of this is a type of tropism that is a response to gravity, so the gravitropism. And roots show a positive gravitropism. The shoots show a negative gravitropism. Plants can detect gravity, they believe, by the settling of what are called statoliths, which are dense cytoplasmic components in the plant. So again, gravitropism was the growth towards the earth, gravity, and they believe that auxin plays a key role in this. So for example, if you put a root horizontally, it's supposed to be placed with a C, then gravity causes an accumulation of auxin in the root's lower side. So remember, a high auxin means inhibition of growth at high concentration. So the lower side is going to have no growth, but the upper side will grow and allow the root to grow down into the ground. So if the top part, for example, say we have the root following the pointer here, this way, If the top portion is growing faster than the bottom, it's going to cause the root to turn downwards. And this is an example showing that root gravitropic bending. The term thigmomorphogenesis is growth in response to touch, and that refers to changes in form that result from some sort of mechanical disturbance. So, for example, if you rub the stem of a young plant a couple of times a day, it will result in a plant that's shorter than a plant that doesn't get the same mechanical disturbance. So this occurs in vines and other climbing plants. Other things that plants respond to are drought. With a plant senses drought, the stomata will close, the leaves will stop growing, the leaves roll into a shape that will reduce transpiration, and deep roots will speed their growth, and shallow roots will stop growing. Another response that plants can have is to predators. So different things that plants have to defend themselves against predators are thorns, chemicals, and distasteful compounds. And some plants even attract parasites. Another line of defense for a plant is its epidermis, which is tough. And so plants use these defense systems to keep away herbivores and to prevent infection and to fight against pathogens that can cause sickness in the plant. So again, the first line of defense is going to be the epidermis of the plant. But if a plant gets injured, just like when we're injured with a wound, it allows pathogens to enter. Okay, so for defenses against herbivores, herbivory is animals eating plants, and of course plants want to avoid this in any ecosystem. So plants that have to face a lot of herbivores need physical defenses like the thorns and trichomes, and chemical defenses like things that taste bad, chemicals and toxic compounds. Some chemical compounds that can be used for this are called terpenoids, phenolics, and alkaloids, and all of those can deter a consumer from eating the plant. So these are some examples of some of those defenses. This diagram from the book shows how a plant can use the recruitment of a parasite to help defend it. So here it has wounding occurring from this caterpillar eating it. There's a chemical within the caterpillar's saliva that starts a signal transduction pathway in the leaf of this plant. And the resulting response is the plant cell will synthesize and make an attractant that will attract this parasite or this type of wasp that will actually attack the caterpillar by laying its eggs inside the caterpillar. So that's the end of this chapter, and this final page here are just some credits for the two resources that were used in this lecture. One of them was Bozeman Science, and the other was from W.H. Freeman Publishers. This was The Short Day, Long Day Plants, and the Bozeman Science video was Plant Control. So you can take a look at that on your own if you'd like a review of those different hormones that are used in plant behavior.